Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt in Studio West, the Relief Factor studio out in Southern California. Thank you for joining me today. I got to talk especially to the people of Los Angeles. I'm on KRLA AM 870 The Answer. I'm on KCBQ 1170 The Answer in San Diego. I talk to a lot of California every day, but this one is specifically for you and for everyone with friends and family. We are now seeing a disaster on top of a disaster. And the disaster this time is the government in California, the city, the state. County's doing okay. Sheriff Luna, Chairwoman Barger, they're doing okay. In fact, Sheriff Luna's doing very well. And the county DA, Nathan Hochman, is very good. He knows what he's doing. We have endless press conference after endless press conference out here. And while there is endless respect and thanks for the courageous firefighters and police, the frustration level is going off the top of the roof with Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass, and everybody else. Because here's the situation. We know what is burned and what hasn't burned. There's a giant evacuation area. More than 88,000 people have been evacuated. I think it's probably more like 130,000 when you add in children. And they won't let people back into homes that did not burn down thanks to the bravery and around-the-clock efforts of the fire and the policemen. And I understand why originally they were hesitant. Yesterday were Santa Ana's, and they were afraid of embers and hot spots. Well, if I hear the word ember and hot spot again, I'm just going to throw a shoe at the TV. I have evacuees, and they're great house guests. They're old friends. They're dear friends. All they want to do is go back to their house, for which there is no power. They don't want to stay there. Get their clothes, some meds, get the food out of the refrigerator before it destroys the refrigerator, because if you leave food in refrigerators too long that have no power, it ruins the refrigerator, another insurance claim to make. All they want to do is visit their home for a couple of hours. Now, we have beautiful conditions, an ocean breeze, and rising humidity. There is no threat right now. There's not a Santa Ana threat until Monday or Tuesday of next week. And yet, the only bit of news they got this morning before I left the broadcast was, you will be out of your houses for at least a week. No explanation. Oh, it's too dangerous. Now, I understand roping off the burned out areas because there's a lot of hazmat issues. That's legit. They got to make sure that nothing's going to blow. They got to make sure there's no noxious gases. They don't want looters in there. But there are thousands of houses that were untouched. And we are a free people. And those houses belong to a free people. I believe actually the city of Los Angeles right now is committing a taking, a Fifth Amendment prohibited taking. Now, there are some contrary case law having to do with public safety. But these dummies do not know that they could easily say this, dear evacuees, if your home didn't burn down and you're sure of it, you may approach your home, show ID, be prepared to prove that it's your home. And you may go in beginning Saturday morning at 7 a.m., but you got to be out by Sunday at 3. You can stay overnight if you want. There's no power, and we're not going to turn the power back on. I understand that. They understand that. You can't drink the water. They understand that. I understand that because there's a lot of ash. They're flushing the system. They get that. But they want to go to their houses, and they're not allowed to go to their houses. And there are, whatever hope Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom had of recovering from their political suicide of neglecting to prepare for the fire is vanishing as frustration turns into anger. And I see it firsthand. My house guests are wonderful people. They have lived in their house for 40 years, 50 years, and they're very grateful. It was a white house. It's probably a pink house now because of all the fire retardant that dropped. They're very grateful that it didn't burn down, and they are up on Mandeville Canyon. But there's no reason in the world other than CYA. What's going on here is the same thing that happened after COVID. You give authoritarians a little opening, and they will take it and run with it and shut everything down. They don't know what to do. They are afraid mostly of being embarrassed again. They are afraid mostly of seeing a second house burned down. So they are over protecting what they underprotected. Classic reaction, but they like it. They like it. They love saying you can't do this, you can't do that, and then they rattle off acronyms. And the worst part of it are the endless serial press conferences. Let me introduce Joe Bag of Donuts. Let me introduce Jane Bag of Donuts. Let me introduce any kind of bag of donuts you want to name. We get like 30 people. They don't know how to communicate either. Now, I'm a professional. I've been doing this since 1990. If you are going to give a phone number, Madam Mayor, Mr. Governor, give it at least 3 times and slowly. If you want people to go to rescue.lacounty.gov, then you say, I can't remember what it is. It's not up to me to know what it is. I think it's not rescue, it's recovery.lacounty.gov. I don't know what it is because they said it too fast, because they didn't repeat the number again and again and again, because they've got 100 different people who get up there and say things that do not matter, either to the people who have lost everything or to the people who haven't lost anything except time and some insurance claims who want to get into their house. There are 2 kinds of people now. There are evacuees who have a place to go home to eventually, and there are people who have lost everything. The people who have lost everything are Category A. They need FEMA, they need loans, they need help, they need housing, they need the government. And there is a regional center, and I don't know if it's working at all. And then there are people who have homes that they can't get to, despite the fact it's a free country, and there is no risk right now, none, in those areas. So if you know it, Nathan, I know you. I've introduced you. You're a good district attorney. You know this is not legal to bar people from their homes except by the most extraordinary emergency. This is the same thing we saw in COVID. The overreaction of authoritarians who do not know what to do, so they just shut everything down without regard to the opportunity cost. There are other costs involved for those evacuees. The stress, the inability to get to their clothes and their meds. Some people had pets that were left behind that they need to check on. The fire department's doing the best they can. I am not mad at the fire department or the police department. They're doing what they are told. Karen Bass has demonstrated she is not up to this job. She should have resigned. Gavin Newsom, yesterday, he signed a law saying you can't sell your property to anyone because it might be an insufficient offer. People taking advantage of that. As Tim Sandifer of the Goldwater Institute said, you help no one by forbidding them from selling their property. They may want to sell their property so they can get the hell out of California. Maybe not. But it's not up to the state of California. That's a taking, too. I teach con law, and I'm telling you, I don't know who's calling the shots on this stuff. But you got to be aware. You're all going to get sued under Section 1983 because you're depriving people of their constitutional right to their property under color of state law. And I hope they name you personally. And I know Stephen Larson and his gang, Larson LLP. That was my last law firm after we broke away from Aaron Fox. And I retired in 2016. I got no investment in the lawsuits. There are a gazillion lawyers filing lawsuits against Southern California Edison and everybody else who can be named. But right now, there are damages accruing because of Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass. Lots and lots of damages accruing. And their defense is going to be public safety. There is no threat right now. So I want to repeat again. Here's what you do. You say, evacuees, check this map, and you give the phone number and the URL. You don't read URL, Karen Bass. You actually give the address. And it's lacounty.gov, and I think it's recovery.lacounty.gov. And here's the map. If your home has not been burned down, you may go to it beginning 7 a.m. on Saturday, but you got to be out by Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. Why? We're going to have a Santa Ana event. And I understand firefighters are worried about the 1 to 5% chance that an ember might float somewhere. They got 3,000 firefighters in Los Angeles right now. And that's good. They should have been here last Monday, but they're here now. That's good. We got resources everywhere. They're all staged up in Beaumont, which is great because they can get there in the air in a hurry. But there is no threat, none, zero, of a fire right now. There are lots of places people could go home. There's no electricity, no water. It's their choice. It's their life. You don't know the costs that you're imposing on people. You don't know the computers they left behind. You don't know all the passports they left behind. They got to get their stuff. Are you people so dense? Now, there is a convenience factor. They don't want to be bothered by these people. You know, they don't want to deal with the traffic. Listen, you work for them. Start thinking about them. Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, 88,000 people want to go home, if only for a couple of hours. Make them show ID, keep the police there, don't let looters in, check them, the line might be long. It's up to them. We are a free people. We do not live under the rule of Karen Bass. It is a ridiculous, stupid, absolutely dense set of regime rules right now, except for the places that were burned out. Let the people go. I'm Hugh Hewitt. I'll be right back.